وجعلناكم شعوبا وقبائل لتعارفوا إن أكرمكم عند الله أتقاكم.
Advise the board to be able to help them deal with. And as a former partner to Amannha, we plan to work with them to deal with these challenges. And the challenge mainly is coming from the scale that they are operating at right now because of the number of children that are in the madrasas. I know for sure that one of the things they would want us to help deal with is the issue of the quality of education that they are receiving in the madrasas, linked to the, teachers that are supposed to be trained and, sent back to the madrasas, and in addition to the teaching learning materials. So these will be, of course, areas that we will be looking at as a board and be working with the umbrella organization and advising them on what to do to deal with them. With that kind of objective in mind, obviously there should be a lot of, IEC going on, information, education and communication for people to understand what Amannha and the madrasa subsector are actually doing, what they have been doing and what they would want to continue to do in the future. This, I'm sure, given the composition of the board members and the expertise, will be able to work together to help them package the information that they normally have and sell it and get the partners both inside and out of this country to perhaps sponsor or finance some of the key things that they would want to do.
And we have come a long way. You mentioned 1996, around 96 towards 98, and I also always say that it was not. It was a very difficult period. When we started together. I think there was a lot of mistrust because of prior experiences. I think the madrasa subsector could not trust that the ministry has genuine interest to support, and I think vice versa also. There was also some reservation from the side of the ministry, but alhamdulillah, I think we have moved a long way since then. But I think the first thing I also want to say in this gathering is that one of the reasons to show that our result, the partnership has been a success. I recall when we started meeting in '96, Alaji Esa could not speak English. And right now Alaji Esa is an expert in English in English language. And on the other hand, some of us can still not speak Arabic. So then we can see who gains from the partnership and who. Again, I think this is what we always say. When some people are raising doubt, I said, it's the students in the madrasas who actually stand to gain more than the students in the conventional school. Because they already have Arabic and they are learning English. So by the time they graduate, they become bilingual. And some of us, we still continue to be monolingual. So we are at a disadvantage. If we graduate and we compete for jobs, who is going to get the job? It's the graduate of the madrasa who will get the job. What I think, like I said, because at the beginning it was not very easy, so the ministry also started to go slow, as has already been mentioned. The Ministry of Basic and Secondary Education, at the time Ministry of Education, we are responsible for education for the whole country, for all citizens of this country. If there are some parents that prefer a certain type of education, so it is incumbent upon us to come and support that education. Because I remember there was a survey that was carried out, I think it was 1998, by the community survey, by the Central Statistics at the time, which shows that 10% of parents at the time prefer to send their children to the madrasas. But the madrasa graduates had some deficiencies, in the sense that yes, they may be studying relevant curriculum, but when they graduate, their options are very limited in the economy. Apart from being a Quranic teacher, the only other thing you can become maybe is an imam somewhere. Even though you may be studying relevant fields, you may be studying engineering, you may be studying law. At some point I was a teacher at Muslim high school, and when I talked to some of those people who were teaching there, some were graduates in law, some graduates in other fields. But because the medium of instruction in this country is English, that means you cannot make use of that knowledge that you have coming from the various parts of the Arab world. So this was the motivation for the ministry to say we have to come in and support the madrasas, and also do that through an organized system which is Amannha, the General Secretariat for Arabic Islamic Education. And I think since then it has been growing. We first started by, as Rajesa has mentioned, providing support in terms of the synchronization of the syllabus amongst the madrasas themselves, and then synchronize with the conventional curriculum. So wherever you are, whatever you learn is going to be the same, whether you are in the madrasa or you are in the conventional school. From then on, we started providing support in terms of teachers. I think initially we started by posting teachers, which I think was a big flop, but we learned our lessons, because we realized that the teachers we were sending were not fitting within the environment of the madrasas. So from that point, we said, I think the best way of moving forward is really to provide the money to Amannha, so that Amannha will recruit the teachers and post. And I think that has proved to be successful, even though recently we are beginning to have some issues, which I'm sure we'll be able to resolve very quickly. And of course, as the partnership began to get strengthened, we decided to move into teacher training by supporting the madrasa teachers. Because at the time, I think most of the teachers in the madrasas were unqualified teachers, and I don't think Amannha has the resources to do the training. So obviously, the ministry decided to support, after a request from Amannha, to support the teacher training at the level of the Gambia College. And I'm glad that has also been very, very successful. And again, the issue of language, the establishment of the IOU also gave us another opportunity to provide training in terms of English language, upgrading of the language of madrasa teachers. So I think by and large, the partnership has been growing gradually to a point where we now felt that apart from providing support in teaching and learning, we are now in a better position to provide other structures like classroom, permanent structures. As a start, I know that that's not, it's just the tip of the iceberg, but I guess we have provided over 250 classrooms. Initially it was supposed to be 300, but I couldn't recall. I'm saying all of these things, but Mr. Boy knows more of it than I do, so because he was the one who managed all that process. But I think over 250 classrooms have been constructed in the madrasa, which I think, my humble opinion, has been a very a success, a laudable success, and I think has also generated greater demand from the madrasas. Because even then, some madrasas were still not willing to be part of the program, because like I said, the mistrust will still continue to be there until they begin to see some tangible efforts. And I'm glad that we have been able to do that. We are hoping that the bilingual program will have a successful program. If that is done, then obviously we'll be in a position to provide more classrooms in not only the existing schools but other schools that are not being able to benefit from that program. And I think the ministry will also, give you the assurance that we'll continue our support in terms of the teacher training, both at the level of the Gambia College and the language, at the level of the IOU and other in-service training programs. And I'm sure Alayesa can recall that one of the challenges that we continue to have, particularly for the madrasa, is the lack of access to secondary schools, particularly in the rural areas. Because most of the rural areas, the madrasas will stop at grade 6, or maybe a few of them may even continue up to grade 7, 8, or 9. But if they have to do secondary education, they have to come down to Region 1 to have access to secondary education. And we have put the challenge to Amannha to try to see how they can establish their own school that is directly under Amannha, so that the ministry can support that, because the proprietors of these schools in the rural areas may not have the resources to establish the schools at that level, especially for the teachers who are expected to be specialist teachers at that level. I think hopefully that will be the next phase of our partnership. And I think this also brings me to the point of the establishment of this advisory board. I guess, again, I'm sure people will agree that when Amannha was established in the 90s, the needs at that time are very different from the needs of today. As like you said, you can have maybe 4 people to manage at that time. You have mentioned the enrollment, 120,000. At that time, I'm sure it was not even 10,000 when we started. And now we have over 120,000 from ECD right up to grade 12. And the demands of teacher training, the demands of management of staff, and the management of the office, I think it's a natural conclusion that definitely you have to have an advisory board. In fact, I would even maybe go beyond and say that probably it needs to go beyond advisory to probably as a kind of a policy making body. Again, it's not for me to say, but I think at some point, because that's in that way, you'll have a body that overrides every institution, and I think it also strengthens your hand when you are dealing with not only the Ministry of Basic and Secondary Education but other government departments and bodies outside of the Gambia. Because I think, like I said, as you continue, the demands keep increasing and they get more and more complex. And and looking at the membership that you have identified, I think we are very comfortable that this group of individuals will be able to steer the Secretariat in the right direction, by bringing the various expertise. I mentioned Dr. Sise. After she left the ministry, she has also worked in the international arena. She was in Nairobi, working with FAWE for a very long time, having a relationship with different development partners. And I think that's a resource that can also be tapped. I think really to say that we are glad to be part of this process, and
based on our constitution, that call for having a board through partner institutions operating in the Gambia. In 1996, it was only 4 international organizations working in the Gambia. So the constitution stated them as advisory board for Amannha. But because of the expansion and because of new important partners that are working in the field of Islamic education, we see that we need to expand the board. That's why we agree to expand the board and to select people to serve as board members. Those who are selected, as I said before, all of them are working with us. They are our partners. Some of them are in the Islamic tertiary institutions. Some of them are in management institutions. Some of them are working in the field of teacher training. Some of them, I can say we need them for quality teaching and learning, and all of them are playing their role, and they have their experience in their specific area that they are working. So we hope when we join together, we learn from all of these people, we hope that we'll achieve our target. So that's the main reason behind the establishment of this board, because of the expansion in the madrasas. Today we are having 120,000 students in the madrasa sector. We say that this responsibility is bigger than Amannha, is bigger than few people. That's why we want the involvement of people who have experience. Although madrasas have achieved a lot, because we receive some visitors to come for study tour. We receive delegation from Mali. We have received delegation from Nigeria. I think it's about 2 delegations that came from Nigeria to learn from Gambia experience in terms of synchronized syllabus. And we had also received delegation from Senegal. So all these are indications that we have achieved. And the most important achievement, the unity that is existing in the madrasa sector, which you cannot find in any country in the sub-region. The madrasa to unify themselves. All of us are following one single syllabus. We are doing one program of examination. All the activities that are doing, we are unified. And the beauty of it is that our madrasas are ready to learn. That's why any advice they will want to take. That's why we want this board to help us to develop this madrasa according to our plans. That's why we established this board to learn from you, to exchange ideas, inshallah, and to make people know what is going on in the madrasa. So basically, these are some of the reasons why we established the board. So once again, I thank the board members for accepting our invitation. We know it's not easy, but this is the board is part of that process, inshallah. We pray to the Almighty Allah to guide us and to stand by us so that we achieve our goals.